Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the part 2 of the Idaho quadruple murders. This is for entertainment purpose only. In the part 1 of this topic, I was talking about the timeline of Xana and E. And I was talking about the surviving roommates and the previous timeline. That was 3 to 4 a.m., which I believe was the correct timeline. So now I just wanted to go back and talk a bit about the timeline that night. Kaylee and Maddie left the corner club. They reached at 1:40, around there at the Grub truck. They were there up to 1:50. They were supposed to be there for 10 minutes, although it seemed like it was forever. And at that moment when they're in the Grub truck, you could clearly see Maddie pointing out a finger to Joe Vito or to Jack S. She did seem quite upset. You could see the behavior of pointing the fingers, and what she said was, F you, mister. For Maddie to say that, I personally believe somebody was really upsetting her at the Grub truck. For me, what is strange is Joe Vito says that he doesn't know any of the people, and he doesn't know Jack S., the people in the Grub truck. But yet again, in his interview, he said, I was having a laugh with the fraternity boys. You could clearly see that he was talking to number 9, who put something in Maddie's mouth, allegedly. He was talking to the guy with the sleeveless t-shirt and the shorts. He was talking to number 8. He was talking to David Lodge and his friends. He's nodding heads with them. So I don't understand. What happened for Maddie to be so upset to say, F you, mister? To call someone mister is obviously, I believe, is someone she doesn't know. So she must have heard them talking about her, and she said, F you, mister. So that part is the part that I'm really interested in, what exactly happened between Jack S. and Maddie. When Maddie leaves, let's not forget it was Jovito who tapped his shoulder and told him that they left. So why was Jovito so involved in this is my question. The group that were yelling out Xana's name was not normal. They should have been investigated. They were watching phones. I showed you the Grub truck. You can clearly see that they're watching either a fight, allegedly, or they're either watching someone on the floor unlived. If you zoom into these pictures, you will understand what I'm talking about, honestly. And if you'll watch everything that is going on in the Banfield, between the 3 boys, Saeed, and the officers. Saeed was blatantly, he was so bold enough that he didn't bother that he was standing in front of law enforcement, if they were law enforcement, allegedly. Because at the rate things were going on in Banfield, I've never seen, honestly, without any criticism, this is my opinion, I've never seen anything like the Banfield before. And I hope I don't see it again. That police officers, those police officers and the way they handled it didn't make sense at all to me. You had young adults who could have had weapons in their pocket. You could see their clothes didn't even fit. One had on a shirt that was really much larger than him. Even the sleeves were much longer. One had on a female t-shirt, check t-shirt, it looked like. And he had on the Vans shoes. The Vans shoes I found interesting because it's in the affidavit. Many people have said, yeah, the whole of the college wear Vans shoes. The thing is, I'm looking at the Vans shoes because the guy wasn't far from the girl's house. He looked like he came from that direction. Although they couldn't remember where and whose party they went to. 2 of them said they don't know, and the third one said it's Matt. So Matt must be living in Taylor Avenue or near the girl's house because he pointed out at that direction. But there was no follow-up questions for them from the police, and it didn't seem right. They all got penalties to pay for 300 or 350. It's just, and they didn't seem to be that drunk. So I don't understand. Did someone send the cops on them to distract them so that they could do this awful crime? Because the cops were hanging around there for quite a while. Well, and let's not forget, when somebody stabs someone, trigger warning, there's going to be a lot of commotion. The pain, the yelling, the screaming. So how come no neighbor heard of that? How come the cops that were not far away didn't hear about that? This is just sad, because when you look at what's it called, Kaylee's parents saying that Kaylee was found on a bed in the sitting position, then go and look at the pictures of Saeed, what he's watching. He's watching someone sitting on the bed, not moving, kind of. He's watching many pictures. Not all of them are easy to zoom in, but you can see someone with a white mask. White ski mask. You can only see the eyes properly. So what was going on that day? Was this something, I hate to say allegedly, but could it be possible that everyone who had beef with one of the victims decided to get themselves involved? I believe that's possible. I believe there were many people who did it. There were more than two. One must have been on the watch out, two must have gone in, one to the second floor, one to the third. And another thing that is important is, let's talk about the way the DNA and the crime scene and everything was handled. We saw that the detectives and the forensic team did not have on gloves and masks when they first entered. When they came out, even they were sneezing, like rubbing their hand on their nose. Let's not forget, DNA, their DNA could be easily mixed up too with the victims. So there was many things that wasn't going right. The knife sheet was found near Maddie's bed. And I always think to myself, if Brian wasn't the person who did it, then I believe somebody came and put it there. He's touched DNA, whatsoever. The reason I say that is when you look at how the crime scene was handled in the beginning, is really important. The whole process in the beginning was quite wrong. The police allowed the students, that's what I believe, because the police allowed the students to go home for Thanksgiving. I do understand that the students have been through a lot and they are scared, they need to go home. But the question is, why didn't you take, example, a DNA swab test of the people before they left and took an interview of them? They could have been involved. People just left for the Thanksgiving. Maybe some of them decided not to finish the semester, not to come back. So I personally believe that either Brian is involved and he got participants for his research, or either they're framing Brian. That's only two things I can think about. But when you look at Brian Christopher Koberger's history and his criminal record, it's interesting because the man hasn't had any episodes with the police. He was always, the way it looks like, doing his education after the addiction. Even the addiction that people say that he suffers of heroin. I'm sure it could be possible, but where's the proof? Where is the proof that Brian Christopher Koberger was using and abusing severe drugs? So basically, if I go back to the case, nothing makes sense. The timelines don't make sense. The witnesses' statements don't make sense. There's only a knife sheath there. But the question is, what's the knife? What is the motive? The police keep on saying it was a targeted attack. Who was the target? Were all 4 victims the target, or was it 1 or 2 victims? Did the person climb up from the balcony? Why was there a laddie there? And where was BF that night? Because we hardly hear from Bethany Funk. What is the exculpatory evidence that she has? Why would Brian Christopher Koberger specifically say that he wants to speak to Bethany Funk? I would assume that he knows Bethany Funk in somehow or the other, because Brian did not ask to speak to Dylan. He said, I want to speak to Bethany Funk because Bethany Funk will exonerate me. Now that is heavy. So what does Bethany Funk know? Was she dating BK? Allegedly, I'm just asking questions. Was she friends with BK? Did she attend the classroom of BK since he was a teacher? Did she ask BK for help? Did BK come there to be framed? That's very possible. Was BK the DoorDash driver? Or was he just framed? When they are telling us about BK's car and where it was pinged and where they got signals from, why don't they check about the car at 3 a.m. that was standing in front of the girl's house? Why aren't they doing that? Did they just set their mind on BK from the start and then search for the Hyundai Elantra? Because the description Dylan gave is that BK has bushy eyebrows. But guess what? Half of the people who were roaming around that night had bushy eyebrows. Jovito had bushy eyebrows. Saeed had bushy eyebrows. Half of the Sigma fraternity boys in the Grub truck had bushy eyebrows. Adam has bushy eyebrows. I don't know about the Jackson's bushy eyebrows because I don't think they have noticeable eyebrows. But for Dylan to be the witness and say that she saw a man with a black mask doesn't help much. What was under that mask? It could be someone who looks like BK, and it wasn't BK. Why would BK have a motive? These are questions I always ask myself. Why would he have a motive? They say that he's a peeping Tom and such things. I believe that if BK wanted to do this, what is the difference between Idaho, Moscow University, and what is the difference between Washington Pullman? I'm sure there are many girls who live together in Washington Pullman. He could have gone there. Why come all the way to Idaho, Moscow? And why do it in Idaho, Moscow when you know it's a death penalty? He comes from New York. He could have done it in New York and just got lifetime in jail. So this is really something we need to think about. Because when people say that BK is guilty, that would be wrong. Because you have to show us proof of him being guilty. I can show you so many people who were roaming around that night that we can say they were guilty, but there's no proof. BK could have been driving his car. Of course, he could have been driving around those areas because maybe he knows Bethany Funk. He asked for Bethany Funk specifically, and there has to be a reason for that. So I'm interested for this case to start in court, and I personally believe BK has the right to ask and request, in fact demand, for the court to move his court to Boise, Idaho, or anywhere else, because this is biased. We have a prosecutor who attended Sigma Chi himself. Everyone in the court is linked to Idaho, Moscow somehow or the other. So where is the fair justice? We want the fair, correct justice for the victims. I just don't want somebody to be locked up and take the blame. BK said he'll be exonerated and he needs Bethany Funk. Why isn't Bethany Funk talking? Isn't that strange? She took an interview in Nevada. She refused at the start. So it'll be interesting when these people go to court, because I really want to see what Dylan has to say. And I hope all the people that came to the house before the police are questioned and the DNA was taken. Because let's not forget, the police were called 8 hours later. Before the police, Hunter, Eaton's brother, E's brother was called, and Hunter Johnson were called. Hunter Johnson had to open the door because they couldn't open the door because Xana and Eaton were laying there. So the question is, who touched the bodies? And who went upstairs to the two girls, Kaylee and Maddie? Because it's been said in the airmail, if you'll read that, it's been said that when the people came inside and they saw E and Xana on the floor, God forbid, unlived, nobody thought of going upstairs. Everyone was shocked. But people heard the yelling from the outside and came in, and two guys ran upstairs and they saw Maddie and Kaylee unlived. So you see, you have two people who went upstairs. What did they touch? That is where the knife sheet was found. So that is important. All these people who were in the house, why did DM call these people first? Why did she wait 8 hours to call the police, and she decided to call the Sigma Chi fraternity boys? Why? Was there cleanup? Allegedly? Were they discussing about the narrative that they were going to give? Were they discussing a description? Where are the 4 figures that were running? Look at the timing and the 4 figures. That is very important. Very important. And then the Sigma Chi president says that there's no cameras in and outside the Sigma Chi. So basically he's trying to say he can't see who left and who came back. We saw the 4 figures running from the house to the Sigma Chi. So these people need to come clean. And I hope the 3 unidentified DNAs that come out, I hope it's the 4 figures running, or I hope it's the 3 guys standing in Banfield. Saeed, Joe Vito, all these people need to talk. They're watching crime scene pictures. I don't care what YouTube creators say about figures and such things. They need to open their eyes and zoom in. The whole of the Grub truck was a surveillance on the 2 girls. Maddie was telling Jovito to F you, mister, for a reason. Let's think. What would make you point your finger at someone and say that sentence? That means that person was upsetting you for some reason. And that was just a couple of hours, an hour before they were unlived. Number 9 should be taken to court. He should be on the first one to be on the witness stand. What did he put in Maddie's mouth? I could see that clearly, allegedly, something was put in Maddie's mouth. He went to the corner and got it. What was the girl with the red bag carrying, running around up and down? Does this case involve, I hate to say, does it involve drugs? Does it involve money? Because right now, I'm going to follow the money. Follow the money and you get the answer. And follow the timeline of E and Xana, and we will get it done. Something is not right. There's gaps in timelines. Timelines are changed. Jack Showalter went to Boise. How can that happen that somebody drove 5 hours to Boise? This doesn't make sense. Jack D was sleeping when the girls called him 7 times or 10 times. And then you hear, the last thing is you'll hear, stop it, stop. You heard it that from the body cam of the police. So that is facts, that is not allegedly. What happened? Why was Maddie's coat in the bushes? I'm sorry that I'm talking a bit loudly, but this is really upsetting me because these students deserve #justice for Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and E. Condolence to their families, and may the correct justice be done for the 4 victims. And BK deserves the correct justice. Just in case he didn't do it, we have no right to judge him because he had addictions with heroin. As a therapist, I'm saying that because many people go through life. At least he took accountability, he changed, and he's got his PhD. So we need to find out exactly what happened. Till then, we have every right to ask every question, but be mindful, be polite about it. Guys, my subscribers, I really respect you all. I'm sorry if I haven't answered each and every comment. I'm coming back to that, but I really respect you all. You're the most intelligent, decent people I've seen. And I really enjoy having y'all in my mental health family channel. Soon I'll be talking about mental health topics too, but there's always something for me to talk about the Idaho Moscow case, because these children deserve their justice. Have a lovely week. Take care. Bye.